Welcome to the channel. Today's video is video number 8 in the Scientology Spy Files series. And I'm going to do a real quick recap just to show you where we got to here, and then we'll get right into the document. So based on the Scientology internal documents that we have reviewed so far, we know that Scientology has private investigators watching our house 24/7, enlisted the help of some of my ex-Scientology friends to spy on me. Scientology is buying my garbage each week and going through it. And they have stolen my phone records from the phone company. Now, this was all based off of me posting some stories about the Scientology Ant base on an internet message board. Well, now that they've got my phone records, they know I'm also in contact with the St. Pete Times in Florida, Life and Style magazine, Star magazine, National Enquirer, and Inside Edition. Now, in this next document, Scientology is going to admit to and state some things that I think are very noteworthy. And here we go. This document's from April 21st, 2006. Confidential, eyes only. BFG April 21st posting. Following is the analysis done on the new posting today from BFG, attached. This is the first posting that has been done since early March. The following points in bold represent the new leads, and any relevant data follows. And then this is what I posted on the message board. Well, Shelley has sent people into Tom's camp to have them sec check to find out who the leaks are. Well, that has obviously not been working. Chelsea needs a retread on her metering or sec checking or both. Anyway, this is the best part. There are people everywhere that are feeding data to the press, enemies, critics, etc. Okay, now this girl Chelsea, her name is Chelsea Graves. She worked at the International Base. She was in Religious Technology Center. She worked in the same organization that Claire did. And Chelsea was a security checker. So this is somebody in Scientology whose job it is to interrogate people on the e-meter and basically do investigations and find out what their crimes are and what they're doing that Scientology doesn't know about. Now, as I mentioned in the prior video, when you have basically when you have these paparazzi outside of somebody's house, they're taking pictures of anybody that's coming and going. Well, because I was in contact with so many of these different publications, they were getting these pictures and then sending them to me, and then I could see, oh, that's Chelsea. Well, if your job is to be a security checker and you're arriving at Tom Cruise's house in Beverly Hills, it's not to bake cookies. So that's what she was doing there. She was sec checking or interrogating the people at Tom's house. And that's what I basically posted or wrote about or something, somewhere this was leaked. And so now this is what Scientology are going to state in response to that. And this is insane. Claire Headley would know that Mr. Graves, whenever in Scientology, whether it's a female or a male, if it's somebody who's senior to you, you just refer to them as Mr. Graves. So when we're talking about Mr. Graves in this document, it's this girl, Chelsea. Claire Headley would know that Mr. Graves was at CCI, which is the Celebrity Center International. Claire Headley would know that Mr. Graves was at CCI related to some Odin personnel situations. Okay, there's a lot of people that are going to catch some shrapnel on these documents, and Odin is going to be one of those. So Odin is a production company in Los Angeles. It's Tom Cruise's production company that would oversee the production of his movies. Now, there were two people that were working there that are of note because they were both Scientologists. This is Andrea Dovin, formerly Morse, and Michael Dovin. Now, Michael Dovin and Andrea Dovin were essentially, I'm pretty sure they started out as just assistants. So Andrea was Nicole Kidman's assistant and Michael was Tom Cruise's assistant. And over the years, they would basically come to run this production company and become producers on many Tom Cruise's films. So Scientology is admitting in this document that Claire, my wife, would possibly know that this girl Chelsea was going to Los Angeles to interrogate the Odin personnel and they say that in here. Mr. Graves sec-checked Leanne, but don't know if Claire would have known this. Okay, this is another bombshell. Leanne is Tom Cruise's sister, who at this time, or maybe before this time, right before this time, was the main person handling all of Tom Cruise's public relations after he fired his longtime publicist that was basically encouraging him not to speak about Scientology in movie interviews and to basically shut up about Scientology. So he essentially fired her and hired his sister, and now his sister is being sec-checked by RTC. Okay, so that's crazy. However, Mr. Graves being at CCN was not a secret, i.e. people would have seen her there and some people up lines could have known. Okay, so they basically say, we don't know how they know that she's sec-checking the staff. Well, that's because she was going to the house. There's no reason for a Scientology professional sec-checker to go to Tom Cruise's house if she's not there to do some sec-checking. And they're also trying to say that a lot of this was happening at CCN. I'm not at CCN. I don't know about anything going on at CCN. So they just basically threw these in here to say that, yes, she's sec-checking his sister and his production staff, but not that she's sec-checking people in the house. Okay, now here's a crazy part of this that I don't think has ever been revealed up until now, which is when these publications are sending me these pictures and I'm writing these blurbs to kind of put all the pieces together, they told me, okay, well, we're going to get these fact-checked and then we'll let you know if we end up running them or not. And I'm thinking to myself, who are they going to fact-check them with? They were sending them to the people that worked for Tom Cruise. And my understanding is that if you worked for him, you had to sign an NDA. So they weren't able to give them any information. But if they showed them, if the magazine showed these people and said this and this and this and this were happening, they could say, yeah, that happened. And without giving them any information, they could confirm information, but not divulge information. So I was writing these stories about Chelsea going down there and sec-checking them, and the people that they were sending these stories to verify were the people that were getting sec-checked by Chelsea. So they thought one or the other of them were the ones writing these stories, because how could they know inside the house that they were the people that were getting interrogated by this girl from RTC? Okay, let's keep going. Yvonne Gonzalez tricked out a Chevy. This is now the post that I put on the internet. Yvonne Gonzalez tricked out a Chevy Suburban without a partition that makes it so nothing behind the driver could be seen. How do you think David Miscavige was at Tom's house and no one knew? Okay, this woman Yvonne, she used to be in RTC a long time ago, and she was busted out of RTC, and she was made the motor pool IC in gold. So the person who's in charge of the cars and motorcycles and repairing them and all that sort of things. Well, her and this other guy named JB, who also ended up escaping eventually, they made this really, really cool van, a GMC van that was bulletproof and all these things. And she was the driver, the only person that could drive that van. And then she essentially became David Miscavige's driver. So the fact that she was seen in one of these tricked out vehicles going to Tom Cruise's house right after Tom Cruise had a child could only mean that he was there visiting. That there'd be no reason for this woman Yvonne to be driving one of these tricked out vehicles unless Dave was a passenger. Because Dave, when he's in Los Angeles and he's going to see these kind of people, he's not driving himself. He's being driven around. And this woman, Yvonne, is the only one who would drive him for the most part. Okay, and now this is Osa piping in. Yvonne was visible on national TV on The Insider and also on Yahoo News, so it wouldn't require special knowledge to assert the above. I mean, how many other Scientologists do you know that had Dave Miscavige come over to their house to welcome their kid into this world? Okay, now this is where it starts to get just weird. The Headleys had their kid in February, and it's clear it's a big deal for them. Mark tried to call Claire's mother, Scientologist in good standing, Jen Witt, to tell her to go see it. I love how they say it, to go see it and Jen KR'd the attempt. So this is true. When our son was born, I called Claire's mom and said, "Hey, Claire's okay. The baby's okay." And basically she hung up at that point. So I never invited them to come see it, but Claire's mother wrote a knowledge report, which is basically just like is when you rat somebody out in Scientology. So her mom wrote a knowledge report that I had called her and told her that we had a baby. The Headleys put up a website for the kid with photos, and it's a really ugly, sickly looking kid that they are showing off. Could be some resentment expressed. Okay, now they think that I'm posting stuff on the internet after working for them for 15 years because I have some resentment about my kid. By the way, my kid is 16 now, and I'm pretty sure he could go toe-to-toe with Dave and take him out in about 10 seconds. So the kid turned out great. The kid's amazing. Don't worry about the kid. But just for fair measure, they put a picture of my kid in the document. This is like right after he was born. And you can see his eyes are wide open and he's looking all over. Anyway, yeah, they put a picture of my kid. Let me just read that last part again, in case you think Scientology. I mean, first of all, they refer to the kid. They say, I'm just going to read the whole sentence over because you gotta process this. This is insane. The Headleys had their kid in February, and it's clear it's a big deal for them. Mark tried to call Claire's mother, Scientologist in good standing, Jen Witt, to tell her to get her to see it, and Jen KR'd the attempt. The Headleys put up a website for the kid with photos, and it's a really ugly, sickly looking kid that they are showing off. Could be some resentment expressed. And then there's a picture of my son after he was just born. Oh yeah, tip to David Miscavige and all OSA guys on keeping Dave's security in. Don't have Yvonne, driver slave, go to Tom's house, and don't have Emily Jones Baram, steward slave, go to Tom's house. Okay, this is another reason why I was sure that Dave was there. If Yvonne only was the one photographed going into Tom's house, I could say, yeah, maybe she's dropping off a vehicle for Tom, or maybe she's bringing somebody else there that Dave said, hey, can you drive this person over there? Okay, but there was also pictures at the same time of this girl named Emily Jones. Now, Emily Jones was Dave's personal steward. So she was the one who would get him ashtrays and snacks and water bottles and cigarettes and all that kind of stuff. Whatever Dave needed, he literally would just be like, go like this, and somebody would put a cigarette in his hand or a pack of Camel non-filters in his hand so he could smoke himself a cigarette. So the fact that they have Dave's personal driver and Dave's personal steward there, 100% Dave's going to see Tom. Okay, so then it says, this is OSA again. The Emily Jones Baram would have been known to Claire, but apparently was not broadly known. Claire would have told Mark. And then here's my post again, another post. Also, you need to keep in better security at Dave's house right up the street from ASI and at ASI. The OSA guys should know better about the technology of directional mics and audio bugs these days. Oh yeah, better do another sweep for bugs at Dave's place just to be sure. Okay, now this is just me trolling on the internet. And now OSA is responding seriously to this. The location referred to would be known by Claire and thus to Mark. It is also known by others. Chuck Beatty mentioned it confidentially in an eyes-only conversation in December. We don't really know who else would know. We have not had any indication of conversations being picked up. Okay, then this is me again. One of my contacts at one place said that someone gave them a very sensitive video of Tom with Dave. Anyway, Karen Powell was on that one for about 1 minute when it was immediately whisked over to Mike Rinder to handle. Okay. Now, this is about a video of Tom Cruise, a video that he had a birthday party on a Scientology cruise ship. And this video was eventually leaked to the media. And this is what OSA has to say about that. This is the one piece of data that would only be known by a few people. This is a description of the shopping of the 2004 Mr. Cruise Freewinds birthday party video to Tony Coughlin at Inside Edition in Los Angeles. Only Coughlin knew Only Coughlin and his unknown associates would know that he spoke briefly with Corinne Powell. Note, it's spelled wrong in the posting. And that Mr. Rinder called him back the next day and took over the comm line and maintained it. Coughlin engaged in several conversations with Mr. Rinder and was made aware that the video had been stolen, not true, and that there were very the video had to be made aware that the video had to be stolen, and that we were very interested in finding out who took it, so he probably engaged in conversations directly or indirectly with the culprit and could easily have filled him in on who he had spoken with. Okay, I'm not sure about any of that, but okay, that's their take on how this is going down. And then there's another posting where I talk about how the birthing buildings at the base were progressing. And here's what Osa said. Birthing has been back on as a priority cycle since at least the early to mid 2004, with major construction crews being brought back in, etc. And this was prior to Mark and Claire blowing. Per the data we have, the amount of visible activity now would actually be less than it was a year ago, so the inference that it is moving now at light speed does not provide any leads, unless there is other data or orders that would indicate any truth to the above. Okay, so now this is an interesting and a very telling paragraph, because I'm writing about the international base. The people that are spying on me and the people that are sending up these reports, they don't work at the international base. So they have no idea what's happening at the international base, and they're not privy to any of this top level secret information. So it would sort of be like your local police investigating something that the FBI has some kind of sting operation running. The local police they have no clue what's going on. So their data is not really able to be made sense of. And they're reporting up to INT basically saying, we don't know about this. So if there's something true about this, you guys have to verify it at your end. There's nothing conclusive in the posting that identifies or excludes Mark Headley or gives us any new leads. So as far as my understanding is, David Miscavige still doesn't think that I'm the person posting these things on the internet, and he's still basically trying to make them figure out who is posting these things. We know it's not Mark Headley. So they're still trying to prove it's me, and they're not really having any good luck with that. New data was learned on Mark today from Tony Popovich. She and Kevin had received an email from Mark, but after a back and forth comm revealed his disaffection below, and she contacted Kirsten and sent the exchange to her. Kevin was R Factor, that they are declared, and has cut the line. So then I wrote basically, yeah, Claire and I left there last year and we just had to get our lives back. We are doing great. And with the baby, everything is awesome. We are not really on lines anymore, as they did not really like us leaving and all. Oh, well, we will leave it at that, as you say. So these two, this was a couple that used to be at the INT base. And I want to say they left before we did from the international headquarters. And they ratted us out to OSA when I emailed them. Mark's email also said that he has started a few new companies, mainly installing audiovisual equipment for the entertainment industry. And one of these recent companies is called Mode. He doesn't name any other companies. That is being checked into as one means of getting a line established. Also to see if such a company may have done work with Inside Edition. Okay, and then it just goes in, it just lists out all the postings that I had done on the internet. Okay, so let's recap real quick. So they admit that RTC, Religious Technology Center International, who David Miscavige is the head of, is interrogating Tom Cruise's production company staff and also Tom Cruise's family members. And that basically they're trying to chase down who's leaking these things to the media. And then they're also getting KR's kind of sprinkles of knowledge reports from Scientologists here and there that I'm having any conversations with. Now, the other crazy thing, and I don't think a lot of people know this, is that when Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman were first married, and Andrea Dovin and Michael Dovin were their assistants, they were spies for Scientology the entire time. So, Tom Cruise during that time period was not really doing a lot in Scientology, and he wasn't promoting Scientology. He wasn't saying he was a Scientologist, none of that. And so the only way they had to get kind of current intel on Tom Cruise and Nicole was through these two people, Andrea Dovin and Michael Dovin. And Michael Dovin and Andrea Dovin were basically giving reports or giving information and funneling intel to David Miscavige. And that is eventually how they ended up getting Tom and Nicole busted up, and kind of getting Tom back into the fold was through the intel of Michael and Andrea. So that's what we got for today. This was quite a crazy video. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you want to support the Aftermath Foundation, you can click the link down below. Another thing that you can do is you can set up Amazon Smile. The Amazon has a program called Amazon Smile where a portion of your purchases, it's not an addition to any purchases you make. A portion of the purchases you make on Amazon are donated to a non-profit of your choice. And you can go into that Amazon Smile program and you can select the Aftermath Foundation as your not-for-profit charity of choice, and then all of your purchases, a small amount of those will go to the Aftermath Foundation. We get thousands and thousands of dollars through this program on a regular basis. So please, if you're a shopper on Amazon and you get stuff through Amazon, just add it to your thing, and it'll always go. No matter what you do from now on, a portion of your proceeds will go to the portion of your purchases will go to the Aftermath Foundation. If you want a bobblehead or an SP bracelet, you can click the spshop.com. And if you want a book, a Blown for Good book, if you go to blownforgood.com, all of the hardbacks or paperbacks that are sold through blownforgood.com are signed by my wife and I. And otherwise, if you want just a regular copy on Audible, Kindle, ebook, you can go to wherever you get those things and you can get a copy of my book there. That'll do it for now. We got more crazy videos coming up, and until next time.